Before I get started, I want everybody to get their Kleenexes ready. This is either going to be an epic failure, in which case I'm going to cry, or it'll be one of the best mic drops ever, in which case you're all going to cry. So I attended my first Uncharted conference this past April, and registering for Uncharted and coming to that conference was the third greatest decision I'd ever made. When I registered for that conference, I didn't know what to expect. I hoped the conference would be fun and exciting and I'd learn something. I've always been working really hard and I wanted a break. I needed something to energize me. I needed something to refresh me. And I'm always looking for ways to improve myself, both personally and professionally. And I hoped I'd find some of those things at the conference. But I didn't know what to expect. What I found was that those of you who have been here before already know, and what those of you who are here for the first time by now have discovered, is that Uncharted is not just about great lectures. And they do have great lectures here, as you've all found out by now. But Uncharted is more than that. Uncharted is about people. Uncharted is about family. What I found here was a group of people that were so open and supportive, so willing to help and share, so willing to be vulnerable. They talked a lot in April about finding your tribe, but I found more than a tribe when I came here. I truly found a family. I found love. And I found it just when I was most ready for it. And just when I needed it the most. A year ago, I was in a dark place. I was unhappy with work. I was unhappy with my personal life. I was unhappy with myself. I was, and I still am, the poster child for imposter syndrome. I've had self-doubt. I've struggled. I've worked so hard to make my practice what I envision it could be, never really being sure of whether or not I was succeeding at that, and most of the time feeling like I wasn't. I felt isolated and alone. I wasn't happy, but I knew I wasn't happy, and I knew I had to do something about it. And so I started on a journey of self-discovery to find out who I am and where I was and where I was going. And I learned to like myself. And I truly learned to love myself. And I became more motivated than ever to find more ways to improve myself, both personally and professionally. And that's what led me to Uncharted. And yet, when I came here in April, I was worried that somehow you'd all find out that I didn't belong here, that I didn't have anything to offer, that you'd find a stranger in your midst. But what I found instead was that many of us have the same doubts and fears, that I was not alone. None of us are alone. That this group, this family, supports one another. This family loves one another. Every member of this family is important, has something to contribute. We can allow ourselves to be vulnerable here. We are safe here. Before that conference in April, I was adrift. And while the symbol for Uncharted is an anchor, and the support and the sharing and the love that I found here has been an anchor for me. And that support, that anchor, has given me a sense of security and confidence and belonging. And being anchored, knowing that I have that support, has set me free. It's been liberating. It's given me the courage and the confidence to venture out and explore new ideas and new ways of improving myself and my practice. And my sense of self-awareness and my awareness of those around me and my appreciation for them has grown by leaps and bounds. My enthusiasm and excitement for life and for work has grown exponentially. And so registering for Uncharted was a great decision. Number 3. On the Saturday of the last conference, the Saturday night of the last conference, we had a bit of a pub crawl. Being the OCD person that I am, I set out with my map in hand. And I started my evening at a place down the street called Smoke on the Water. And while I was there, a group of other attendees came in, and one of them was a woman who I'd met before on a business trip with Royal Canin, Katrin. And with her was another woman who looked very familiar to me. And we said, "Hi, have we met before? Was it at another conference?" I think maybe it was Nashville. Yeah, it was Nashville. And that was about it. We weren't sitting close enough to each other to really carry on a conversation. And before long, her group got up and left and went on their way. And it wasn't long after that that I took my map and continued on my route. And I ended the evening at SIP, the rooftop bar down the street. And when the Uncharted gathering there was finally winding down, I wasn't ready to call it a night yet. And so word got out that there was still a group of people from Uncharted over at the Ink and Ivy where we were last night. And some of us headed over there to see what was going on. When we got there, I discovered that there was a group of Uncharted people out on the dance floor. You should see Bruce's moves. I'm sorry he's not here. And Brian and Dave Nickel had the most epic dance battle. I'd have to say it was a draw for sure. And usually, I'd be one to kind of stand on the sidelines and be a bit of a wallflower and watch the action as it was going on. But, you know, I hadn't danced in a long time, and I don't think I'm a very good dancer. But I decided to join in. And going dancing turned out to be the second greatest decision I ever made. I did. I recently watched a TED Talk from Dr. Brené Brown, and in it she talked about vulnerability and connection. And what she said was that in order for connection to happen, we need to allow ourselves, our true selves, to be seen. We need to be vulnerable. And in order to be vulnerable, we need to feel safe. We need to be able to let go of that worry that there's something about me that if other people know about it or if other people see it, that I won't be worthy of connection. Well, being anchored, belonging, and having that security and that confidence makes us feel safe. And being safe allows us to be vulnerable. And being vulnerable leads to connection. And what can keep us away from that connection is the fear that somehow we're not worthy of it. But what every member of Uncharted will tell you is you are worthy. You matter. You belong. You can make a difference. Don't be afraid that you're not worthy. Uncharted is family. Uncharted is a safe place where you're accepted, where you are loved. And Uncharted and being anchored and being safe gave me courage. Courage to be myself, to show who I truly am, to be unapologetically me, to be vulnerable. And that vulnerability led to connection with others. Some people think that vulnerability is weakness, but vulnerability is not weakness. Vulnerability is strength. Vulnerability is a freaking superpower. And as I said before, I've been on a journey of self-discovery and self-improvement, but something more happened that night at Ink and Ivy. Because as I danced, I could feel myself relax and have fun and not worry about what anyone else was thinking or what anyone else would say for the first time in forever. And I literally made a conscious decision there on the dance floor to be vulnerable. And as soon as I did, I could feel a transformation. I could feel myself relax and become more myself. The armor was falling away. I was stripping off the layers. Not like that. It wasn't that sort of dance club. It's peeling back the veneer until it was just me. And I never felt so happy, so alive, so accepted. And when I became aware of how vulnerable I was and that I could tell that I was truly myself, I found connection. And it happened right away. There on the dance floor was that familiar stranger who I'd met earlier. And we danced, and we talked, and we had fun, and we shared a drink, and we closed the club down. And we walked back to the hotel. And don't worry, Andy, nothing happened. There were no shenanigans at Uncharted that night. At least not on our part. We kept Uncharted pure. And we said goodnight. And then we met up again the next day after the conference. She came and she asked me to go to lunch with a group of people that she was with. And we talked more at lunch, and we had a connection. And we exchanged contact information, and we kept in touch, and we texted, and we called, and we visited. And it was right. And we both just knew we were perfect for each other. And we fell in love. And she's here with me this weekend. She's sitting right there. And so going dancing turned out to be a great decision. Number 2. And I would humbly ask each of you to make a decision. To be yourself. To be vulnerable. To find connection. To love. To be open to giving and receiving the love that flows so freely among this group. And not in a kinky way. Andy, put your TRX training straps away. To feel the love that flows among this family. And we are your Uncharted family. What will you decide? And what about the greatest decision I ever made? Well, you're all part of that decision, because that decision is happening right here, right now. Because if I can borrow a storytelling technique from my friend Sinani, what if I'd never come to Uncharted? And what if I hadn't found it so amazing? What if I never found my Uncharted family? And what if I didn't start at Smoke on the Water that night where I bumped into Lisa? And what if I'd never gone dancing where we met up again? And what if dancing hadn't led to talking and texting and phone calls and visiting? What if we never fell in love? And what if I asked her to marry me? I wonder what she'd say. Oh, yeah. I'm going to do it right. Lisa, you make me so happy. I can't imagine my life without you in it by my side. And I don't want to. I want every day to be a love story. I'm with you. And we can take the world. Because they can write stories and they can sing songs. But they don't make fairy tales sweeter than ours. I love you so much. Will you marry me?
Yes. That's for us. Where's the ring?
Thank you.